We all know that building is one of Australia's major industries, and we must be aware of the impact construction can have on our environment. The CleanSite program provides ways to reduce the building and construction industry's impact. When you're building, site maintenance is important. If you're not careful, soil, litter and building waste can wash off the site and straight down the drain and into our waterways. Remember, stormwater isn't treated. The sediment and other pollutants destroy life in our creeks and rivers. It can mean an end to all the things that you and your family enjoy, which need clean, safe water, such as fishing and swimming. Because the consequences of polluted runoff are so serious to the environment, there are hefty penalties in place to deter infringers. If you're caught polluting by authorities such as local councils or the EPA, on-the-spot fines and hefty penalties for offenders will apply. In this video, we'll show you a number of simple steps you can take to minimise the risk, avoid all those fines and penalties, and why it's in your best interest to do so. One of the best barriers to soil erosion is absolutely free, and the great thing is it involves no work at all, and it's this stuff, grass and other vegetation that's already here. Now when excavation begins, try to leave as much of it as possible. Grass acts as a natural filter, straining sediment from the stormwater before it reaches the drainage system. Whenever possible, build just one stable entry and exit point for all vehicles, which should run from the curb right to the slab. Think about the widest trucks that'll be using your site and make sure the entry is wide enough and deep enough to handle them. By directing movement to this one stable surface, it means work can begin more quickly after wet weather. The chances of vehicles becoming bogged is minimised, and all this dirt and mud, it stops it from getting out on the road and down the drain. If mud makes its way onto the road, always make sure it's removed. You know, each building site on average generates 6 to 8 tonnes of waste materials. Here's just some more, which all just get sent off to landfill. It's a huge problem, but the thing is, most building site waste, like all of this, can be recycled. Steel, aluminium, plasterboard, timber, concrete, bricks and tiles, and plastics can all be recycled. Now don't send it to landfill. Instead, throw it all in the bin and get your waste recycling contractor to take it all away. And one other thing, put your everyday rubbish in there as well. Don't overload your bins. Get them emptied often and make sure the contractor covers the load. It's important to put in a sediment barrier downslope of the building site. Use a geotextile fabric like this, and you should trench it in about 150 mil to bury the bottom of the fabric. Attach the fabric to posts, which should be no more than 3 metres apart. A sediment fence acts like a dam to slow the flow of water, and the sediment, it'll settle out here behind the fence. Check your sediment fence and other controls every day before you leave work to make sure they're all doing their job. It's amazing how much of your valuable stockpiles end up going down the drain after a storm. It's such a waste, and it's one of the biggest contributors to environmental pollution. So here's a simple tip: don't let it happen in the first place. For starters, make sure all of your stockpiles and building materials are kept behind the sediment fence or bunding. If you think there's going to be any bad weather, make sure you cover any sand or cement that may be laying around on the site. Dick, do you want to just pull that over the top for me, mate? Make sure you have a designated spot for delivery of materials. If there's no room on site for the concrete pump and you end up having to operate it from out on the roadway, take some precautions because any spillage can come straight down the drainage system with some serious results. So make sure you at least place some bunds across the gutter downslope from the pump. And it's also a good idea to put some plastic out on the road to collect any spilt concrete. Then, if there is a spill, clear all material before removing the bunds and plastic shedding. Never wash down a concrete mix truck, pump or any other equipment out on the road or on the footpath. Concrete mixing should only be done in an area that can handle excess water and residue. This area we've set up here will allow the water to drain or evaporate away, leaving the waste at the surface. Mortar for brick lane should be mixed in a similar area to prevent runoff. As you can see, there's a bit of a dip here, so I've laid this length of bunting along the lower end to trap any runoff. The water will then just drain away here or evaporate in the sun, leaving all this waste on the surface, which then can just be shoveled into the bin. We all know that brick cutting uses a lot of water, which usually ends up in the rivers, along with a thick brick slurry. A good solution is to use a system like a Brickosaurus. The water is reused through the system and all the brick waste is trapped separately. This only uses about 70 litres of water a day instead of the usual 3,000 plus. And the great thing is, at the end of the day, all of the waste is simply stored in here. When you clean your brushes and tools, run your water into an area like this. That way, when it dries out, all the paint residue will be left on the surface. Excess plaster should be left to dry in a contained area too. And don't forget to place all residue like this gyprock offcut into the waste bin. So there it is, a few simple steps to ensure a clean site. And remember, when we take these steps, we're not only helping the environment, we're actually helping ourselves in the following ways. By reducing cleanup costs, less mud and dust problems, less litter, improving wet weather working conditions, and as a result, a safer work area, reducing stockpile losses, fewer public complaints and a better image within the community, together with no on-the-spot fines or penalties. So the idea is to make sure that no water containing sediment or pollution runs from the site, down the gutters and into our river system. And as you've just seen, we can stop it by various means. By sediment barriers, by using shallow containment areas, by recycling, by using environmentally friendly equipment, by protecting stormwater systems, and most of all, by being smarter on site. So if you see a situation where pollution is a possibility, make sure you do something about it. A clean environment, and in particular a healthy stormwater system, is everyone's responsibility. Now, with your help, we can really make a difference to our creeks, rivers and beautiful beaches.